I think it's time for some counter melodies. Alright, so this is starting to become a little bit aggravating to the ears, and the reason for that is... Do you hear that pop? Like that sort of static pop noise when it reaches this note? We can remedy this by turning on the envelope and adding a very slight attack, so it's like just barely not instant. Like less than that even. And also let's like, we want it to be the same as it was before though, so let's just... Actually, that's not... There is also like a white noise sound happening there. And I'm not actually sure why. Is it something with one of the synths? Full disclosure, I recently upgraded FL Studio 12 and I am not... Like, I've never had this problem in the original version of 3X oscillators, so I don't actually know what's going on here. So I am going to go to Google. Boy, do I love the image line forums and how you can't see anything unless you sign up by giving away all of your contact info. To reduce CPU load, the oscillators are anti-alias during rendering lines. Okay, so if I just like render this right here. Nope, still there. Like, okay, I got the exact same thing in FL Studio 11, the same oscillators, the same envelope thing. Doesn't make any white noise. FL Studio 12? Why is this happening? Like, the overall quality of the thing, too, is just like, it feels so much worse here for some reason. Like, listen to that. That's with, like, both the envelopes off. Like, these settings are all exactly the same, so I know, like, there's nothing... Oh, well, this volume's slightly lower. Oh, wait. That actually makes it sound a lot worse. Let me just lower this thing a little bit. Okay, but that sound is still there. Like, okay, now it's like the same as FL Studio 11. But this, why Wait. Oh, it's the swing? There's also like a little hiccup here. Like, you hear how this like cuts out early? And then that sound, but if I... Then it's fine? Okay, so don't use 3X oscillator with swing. That is our lesson of the day. But I'm going to continue using it in this song just because that, like, I mean... That just does not sound right. Of course, FL Studio 11 can handle the swing. Actually, I think FL Studio Swing is just broken and that's why it's working. Because, like... Yeah, that doesn't make any difference. Like, if you go here, if I place 4 notes in a row like that, you can really clearly hear what it's doing. Like, this is with it off. Whoops. And on. Yeah, so I guess FL Studio Swing is just broken and that's why that was happening. So, yeah, Swing and 3X Os are not friends, apparently. And FL Studio Swing doesn't work for me for some reason in the 11 version. And like, yeah, I could have edited all this out, but no, I am showing the process, okay? This is what it's like. You're learning, I'm learning, we're all learning here. This is how it go. Wait, you can add swing on a per channel basis in FL Studio 12? Each channel has a swing multiplier knob and a time section. Oh, okay, so you go here on this wrench tab on the thing and bring this all the way down. There we go, okay. So now this doesn't have any swing to it, so that might make certain things feel out of place, but in this particular case it's fine. So that is how you do that, apparently. Oh, but now this sounds like really, really out of place. So what we gotta do here is right click this and clone it, and I'm going to take this and put it on this new thing instead. And now, so this still has its swing all the way down. I'm going to go back to the original thing where all of these notes are on and put the swing back up. So now this has it, but then this doesn't. Because these are two separate channels now, so like if I change like this sound into something else, like that gets changed, but then this one is still the same because they're different instruments now. But I'm going to keep them the same. The only difference I'm having is the swing. So I don't really like how this is in the left ear by itself because I don't think the piano is doing a good enough job at balancing it out. It's just like it really kind of stands out a little bit too much. So I am actually going to create a counter melody to this counter melody, I guess. Hey, I only pretend to know what I'm doing, alright? So I'm gonna clone this, and I'm going to, like, just do some stuff. Put this one into the right ear. Okay, these are kind of like, they are like the exact same instrument, so they are like kind of, like interfering with each other in a weird way, so I need to like tweak some stuff until they sound like they belong together. Cause like that, you hear that like at the bottom there, like it sounds really loud for some reason down there, and that's because like these are like sharing pretty much the exact same frequencies. I mean, this is an octave lower, but they're like too similar. Oh, by the way, pro tip, whenever you're editing something like this and you have like multiple of the same versions of the thing, make sure you're editing the right one, because if I clicked on this and I started like messing around with this, I'd be changing the wrong one. So like make sure that you click on it like every time to make sure you're looking at the right one. Actually, I think I just move this to the side a little bit and then that'll probably fix it, because it's that note right there that's interfering, like. So if I do this, that sounds like mostly fine. You can hear towards the end of it they start to sort of interfere. So I just like shorten this a little bit and that kind of fixes it. Whenever you're doing something like this, you just have to really make sure that your notes are not like interfering with each other. So like what you do not want to do is this right here. That should give you an extreme example of like why it's a bad thing and like why you have to be careful, because like just the interference, like I don't actually know what the technical name is for it. Like maybe it's this, I don't know, but you can like very clearly hear it there. Like that is just very unpleasant. So you gotta really like, in a way it's actually kind of helpful because this lets you, like it kind of forces you to place notes in a certain way, and that makes writing counter melodies a little bit easier, because like now I have to put this over here. Like I could put it in a different spot, like maybe up here, but then that gives it like a completely different feel. So like what I wanted was like, you know, the same notes down here, because that's the feeling I want, is that note right there. But I can't do it like that, so I have to put it over here, and that forces it to have kind of like a cool little delay thing. So that can actually be kind of helpful at times. But yeah, you just have to really make sure that your notes aren't like hogging the same frequencies, and you'll usually be able to hear it when they are, or hopefully you can. And if you can't at first, you will in time. Alright, so I got something going on here. But for this last part, I want the, like you can see they're doing like a back and forth thing between the two ears, and for this last part I want them to both combine. Okay, so all I actually did was I just placed notes on both channels, like you can see if I move this out of the way, it's on the other one too, and I lowered the velocities down here so they're not too loud. So like if I had them at their default, it would sound like this, which is just like too loud. So I just lowered them. So now they're like, it's in the middle now, because like both of them are kind of combined and they're at a low enough volume for that to not sound as awful. Alright, so I am going to keep the piano in the right ear, but now everything's kind of balanced a little too far to the right, because now we have left and right on this synth, but then we have right on the piano. So I'm going to take this harp synth and put that to the left a little bit. So now, steel drum front and center, synth on the left and right, piano on the right, and then this thing on the left. So that sounds a little bit more balanced. Oh, I just remembered a way more efficient way to control the swing on the synths over here. So actually, remember when we duplicated this first one, which was like this, and then we made the second one? I'm actually going to copy or cut the second one, paste it back into the first one, and delete the second one. And now, so now we just have two, one for the left ear and one for the right. And I am going to go over to this thing, which is like the left ear one, which is both this and then the left ear over here. And I'm going to go to the swing meter. I'm going to create an automation clip by right-clicking it. Now I'm going to, actually I don't need to copy value because I can, by default, this is at the bottom here and this is at the top here. And basically what that will do is, we now have this thing down here, so we can put this over here, drag it, make sure you don't drag like this part, drag the dot that's over here. And now if we drag this dot down, we create a path sort of thing. I'm going to drag it over here so it's like a little bit shorter and easier to see. And now watch what happens to this swing wheel as it plays. And now listen to it. So it starts out with the swing. Let me move this over here. And then it loses it. So what we want to do is we want it to have the swing here, but then lose it over here. So we are going to start over here, move this over here, right-click to create a new point, and then right-click again to create another point, and move this down here, and then move this over here, and this down here. So now there is a vertical drop, so the swing will instantaneously go from full to none, and so there we go, we saved ourselves having an unnecessary track in the channel thing. You know, I'm starting to turn around on these things right here. I think I'm gonna get rid of those, I don't really like them anymore. Also, I forgot to put a thing over here, like at the end of this. So, like, because it's supposed to lead into the next thing when it loops around. But then it's over here and it's kind of out of place. So I'm just going to take this and drag it over there a little bit, and that is that. You know, I'm also kind of having second thoughts about this whole pattern right here. This second one I think is just too low down, like it's almost a bass, but we haven't even added the bass yet, and once we do, this is just gonna like interfere too much. It just feels way too heavy, but I can't have it up here or else, like, you know, no. So I'm going to see if I can find something else. Alright, so actually I went ahead and used the same thing, and I did raise it up, but I went ahead and moved things around so that like each of the two things kind of duck out of each other's way a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm basically just making sure that both tracks don't have the same note in the same spot at the same time, like right there. I had to move all these down a little bit to avoid that. I think that's a little bit better. I feel like this part comes too early. Like, I think there should be, like, this whole thing should be like twice as long, but then like this first part shouldn't have that like definitive ending like that. Yeah, that just sounds weird. So I'm going to do what I did before and just kind of like extend everything by Control A and Control B, although in this case that it doesn't really work, so I had to like drag it over manually again. And then make sure I delete like this right here, because now, yeah. So now I just have to edit this melody in a way that makes it not sound like an ending, and I can actually like do that just by changing the last notes. See if like you can tell how that makes you feel like it's going to continue, but I might do things a little bit differently, like do more than just that. You know, I'm starting to wonder if I should be using the steel drum at all in this second part. If it's the main instrument for the entire song, it might start to get a little bit grating, like ever so slightly. So I'm gonna see what else I can find here. I want kind of like a silly whistle sounding kind of thing. Alright, so I got this thing right here. So let's see how this sounds. If I'm gonna like put this here and then mute this once you get to this part. What if I like put both of them together though? Okay, I actually like that a lot. I'm going to, yeah, I'm rolling with this. Okay. But as you may have noticed, we now have another problem in that, so this first part of the melody is altered, but everything else, all these other instruments are still like based around the other one over here. So this works over here, but now I gotta change all this stuff in addition to the main melody. Alright, I should probably talk about what this instrument even is. This is a synth called Synth 1. You can find it for free online if you search it pretty easily. It comes with no, it doesn't come with a lot of sound banks. It comes with this sound bank, and there's like a lot of like almost MIDI-esque instruments over here. And if you look online, you can find a lot of others. Like I have all of these things that most of these are like very 80s sounding. And I don't even really remember how I made this sound. I kind of think I just like picked a preset and then just messed around with all these knobs until I got something that sounded like this, but I really like how it sounds. So if you have this synth and you want this exact sound, just go ahead and painstakingly copy every single parameter you see on screen right now. One thing I should mention about Synth 1 is that it doesn't support slide notes, and you also can't like right-click all of these things and make automation clips like you can with other stuff. So instead, this is where the steel drum does that slidey thing right here. And for the Synth 1 thing, instead of using a slide note, because it just doesn't do anything if you have that on this kind of instrument, I put these little things right here. And it is in legato mode with portamento on, and then like this knob controls how long it takes to slide. So whenever two notes are overlapping each other, they just kind of automatically slide like that. So like if I move this down, wait, that I muted the wrong thing. If I move this down here, you can hear it. So yeah, it's working. So I'm liking this direction things are going, but I don't want this new instrument to just come out of nowhere. I want to like kind of tease it in a little bit beforehand. So if I take this stuff from this right here, and so now it's 3S oscillator, and then this thing is now replacing that one part of it. Does that do a good enough job? It's kind of hard for me to tell. I'll decide at a later date if I actually like this or not. Alright, but I do actually need to edit this other stuff though, so it fits the melody here. So I'm gonna make it so that only the melody and the harp synth play at the same time. So I'm gonna right click on this to solo it, and then add this with the left click, and just listen to this. Whoops. Okay, so around here is where it needs to change. Just the last like measure here. So duplicate all of this over here. Delete the second thing down here now. Now I edit this first part. So I forget which chords these are. I need to like uninvert them so I can tell. So like this is this would go up here then. Because when you have inverted chords like this, basically you just have to make it so, like I said earlier, there's always going to be either 2 or 3 spaces between notes. So if you're trying to figure out what an inverted chord actually is, just rearrange the notes until like there's 1 space right here. So that's not right. There's 2 and then 3 and then 2, or it could be like 3 and then 2 and then 2 or whatever. But as long as you have that kind of pattern, then that's probably what it is. And then you just look at the bottom note, which is F here. I think that works most of the time. I don't know if it always works, but so far I haven't had it not work, so I don't know. So something other than an F then, because the F doesn't really fit there, I don't think. Actually, no, I think the F does fit there. It's just when it turns into the other stuff, like that doesn't work. Yeah, so that could work right there. Alright, I think I'm going with this. So this is an F chord and then an E flats, and then I'm gonna invert this. I already inverted this one. So alright, so now I just need to do the same to the piano over here. Alright, so same chords as the harp synth, just again kind of inverted all over the place. So this is F and then F and then F, and then this is the E flat. And lastly, our synth thing over here. Alright, so I extended some stuff, I changed some stuff. I also added some slight velocity variation throughout all these notes, which isn't something I normally do on synths like this, but there's a part over here, especially like where this rises up here, where I wanted it to feel like, I just wanted to give it an extra little touch, and I think you'll hear that when I play it back. Alright, so this is actually starting to sound kind of decent now. Of course, I was so caught up in trying to like repair all of this that I still have yet to actually add any sort of bass or drums, so we will be getting to those next time.